Be poised for musical superstardom, and you're only 12 years old.
And that's where Jerome Childers from Akron finds himself. He's been working for the past 2 years, honing his singing and performing skills, and now he's ready to take the music world by storm. Akron native Jerome Childers is living a dream come true. His debut single, Too Old For Me, has catapulted this 12-year-old to the head of the class of the next generation of hip-hop artists. Fresh-faced and a triple threat, he can sing, dance, and act. Jerome has been performing since he was 3. By the time he was in the 3rd grade, record producers were calling him at home in Akron just to hear him long distance.
That's all I can see. Like when I was 8 years old, they really liked my voice, I guess, so they just call and like to hear me sing. Like sometimes it's like 10 at night or like 10 in the morning.
Then an audition tape wound up in the hands of hip-hop impresario Sean Puff Daddy Combs. At the age of 10, Jerome had a deal with Bad Boy Records and a one-way ticket to the top of the charts.
When I first met Puffy, from there my whole life turned around when as far as, music business-wise, and I got in the music business and stuff. But it's turned for the good to me because I really like to sing.
But singing has meant sacrifices. Jerome and his dad, who's also his manager, now live in New York City, while his mother and sister still live in Akron. It's a temporary adjustment to help Jerome's career get off to the right start.
I'm just trying to take it one step at a time, make sure everything's okay and he's all right, and keep his head on straight, and basically just trying to protect him from any elements that might hurt him in the long run.
Jerome is spending a lot of time working on songs for his new CD out this fall, and music insiders predict Jerome will become a huge teenage heartthrob.
Like when I went to New Orleans, this girl, she like tracked me down in an airport, just to get my autograph. That surprised me, because she knew who I was, and then she like tracked me down and was looking for me just to get my autograph.
Jerome's mature voice and smooth style often lead to comparisons to Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder.
Like I told him, I believe he has a lot of angels around him, protecting him, because some of all the things that's happened to him, and for his, him being in the right place at the right time. A lot of times, I think it was almost like meant to be for him.
But Jerome is waiting for the day when a concert tour brings him back home to perform.
I think it's going to be great because it's like my hometown, and I'm visiting it again. I think it's going to be I think that'd be a really good performance for me to do. I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. And I'm waiting for that too because I want front row tickets. Well, you're going to be seeing a lot of Jerome in the very near future. He just completed an ad for fashion designer Tommy Hilfiger, and he's being interviewed by numerous magazines, including an article in Vibe magazine that's due out later this summer.
That must have been a kick to meet him and talk to him.
He is quite a young man. He's an AB student. He's teaching himself French and soon to teach himself Japanese.
No kidding.
And loves science.
And his parents have the toughest job. His dad's in New York trying to protect his 12-year-old kid. Good.
When the Grammy Awards were handed out this week on CBS, Cleveland was well represented. One local recording company picked up 3 Grammys.
But what you may not know is that the rock and roll city could be on its way to turning into a national recording mecca.
Right here in the heart of the rock and roll city, there are several recording studios. Buchanan Recording Complex, one of the area's newest studios, has a facility that's sure to garner the attention of national recording acts. Owner Jim Buchanan has a simple goal in mind.
Be able to compete with everyone else and also attract the national artists, into Cleveland.
The complex boasts a solid-state Logic recording soundboard, which is the best there is in the world of recording. In fact, there are only about 8 of them in the entire country.
We've compared sound from some other studios like the Hit Factory and Quad in New York and Sony Studios, and I'm proud to say we've we're coming up with a sound that's as good and in a lot of cases better.
I ain't mad at you. But I can't tell.
The studio rates are cheaper than facilities in cities such as New York and Nashville, which means that not only can local aspiring musicians put together that first demo tape, but national artists have an added incentive to record in Cleveland.
National artists are real important to us, but also the local artists. So we've got a lot of world-class equipment and wanted to make sure that we made it affordable for the local folks to be able to come in and record on a professional level.
Jim Buchanan says the 5 studios are booked around the clock. He plans to build suites above the studios where visiting artists can reside while working on their projects.
Impossible not to start moving when that's
You have
on.
to. The beat just gets you.
Just glad the camera didn't come out.
That's right. While we were...
Not too long ago, getting married was a top priority for most American women, but now a growing number of ladies are enjoying relationships with no rings attached.
That is correct. Our Ben Holbert is the envy of men throughout northeastern Ohio. That's because he went to Benedictine High School, but also because he spent time with 5 ladies who share only with him their stories of being single, sexy, and successful.
If I describe to you a woman, 35 years old, drop dead gorgeous, has her own house, has her own car, everything like that, but she's single, what do you think? Something wrong with her. You, sir?
I'd have to agree with that, sorry.
If I was drop dead gorgeous and I was 30, I would get a man to support me.
Well, that might have once been the case, but attitudes have changed, and so have women. More are taking advantage of academic and career opportunities. They're self-sufficient, making their own decisions, free to travel, frolic, and have fun.
Single and satisfied. To some, that's like putting a mustache on the Mona Lisa or putting a dome on Jacobs Field or Cleveland Browns Stadium. Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But there are some who differ with that picture. According to the U.S. Census Bureau 1990 figures, there are more than 38 million women in the United States, 15 years or older, who are single. And now there's another study that suggests that 43 million plus women are single. And gentlemen, get this. Here in the state of Ohio, there's more than 2 million women living the single life.
At this networking session, we found women working the room, not looking for a lover, but loving the notion of eyeing business. Marty manages Club 75. Paula supervises software training programs. Natalie is an actress. Charmaine coordinates public relations. And Rosa specializes in human resources. They shared with me intimate secrets.
Sex is not a must, especially if you're doing it with the wrong person.
Are you intimidating to men at all?
I think I overwhelm some people.
And what about marriage?
We're not going to just settle for anything just because society says that women should be in a relationship.
Clinical psychologist Dr. Angela Neal Barnett understands. Studies show that women in touch with themselves realize that marriage, just to have someone, can be a mistake.
And I believe that there is truly a divine right person, and I refuse to settle for anything other than that absolutely divine right mate.
There's nothing wrong with not being married. There's nothing wrong with not being in a relationship. These are usually married women with kids. They're telling me, don't get married, have fun, do what you gotta do, you know, work, go to school, travel, then get married when you're 40. So you don't have to grow old alone.
So while none of these women are writing off the married life, they do have clear expectations of what they want.
Do not try to say things or do things that you think I want to hear. Just be yourself.
Recently, I just met a wonderful person, and I think he is Mr. Right.
And for the woman looking to be true to yourself, here's a word of advice.
If the women keep the standards high, the men will simply have to fall in line. I mean, there's no getting around it. If the women aren't going along with the program, the men will eventually fall in line, and that's something my dad taught me. Go, Dad.
That stretch limo, by the way, was provided by Ben. No, I'm only kidding. It was provided by E-Rock's Underground Limousine Service of Cleveland. Now, Ben promises to keep us up to date should any of the 5 lovely ladies find Mr. Right and decide to tie the knot.
Well, good luck in Cleveland.
Yeah. Oh, no, come on. Cream of the crop here. Of course, Kalinowski and I. Yeah, I know.
All the good ones are taken.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel good about having Steve as a partner because I know what he will do in most given situations.
I liked working with Marty first because he was big.
When it comes to crime fighting, they are a perfect match. For the past 3 years, Steve Hogrefe and Marty Dunn have been partners on the East Cleveland Police Force.
Be a signal 3 from Elberon. Exterior check secure.
They pack a 1-2 punch on the streets, looking for drug dealers, answering domestic calls, or just making sure street corners don't turn into spots for illegal activity.
A lot of times we go on calls, there is no backup. So your partner is your soul, is your life support system, really.
Steve's great to work with. I think he meshes well with everybody, but especially me. He's a hard worker. He doesn't take any shortcuts, and you know, he's proud of the things that he does.
Both men have military backgrounds. They like the adrenaline rush of catching the bad guys, making the streets of East Cleveland safer for those who live here.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, one time. You know what I'm saying? I don't know when to, man.
Tempers can flare even when it appears to be a minor situation. This homeowner needs the police's help to get a group of kids out of his backyard. It's a partnership built on checks and balances. Each officer knows his strong suit.
Steve is more of the diplomat. I'm more of the rough and rugged type. I like to fight.
He's 6'4", 275. I mean, I'm 5'10", 200. I mean, I'm in good shape, but Marty's pure size, and Marty's pretty good at handling people that are out of control.
They patrol the streets in some of East Cleveland's most crime-ridden neighborhoods. But even here, they've made a difference, like shutting down this drug house known as the Red Door.
You feel like a target when you're here?
We've been shot at down here.
People have thrown things out of the windows.
They are highly trained and highly intuitive, always watching out for the other's back.
You develop a feel for things. You know, because if he says something, I don't know, I think we need to check that car. I think we need to stop this car. I am not going to question it. He gets a hunch for things, and so do I.
A car blocking the street immediately looks like something more to Marty and Steve.
Come on over here, both of you.
Yeah, something's up.
1259, East 137. What did I do?
Their suspicions pay off. The car has fictitious tags. Its driver leaves behind evidence of drugs.
These right here, these are what are known as mutts, cigars that are filled with marijuana. You open up the inside of the mutt, you'll see that there's green leafy substance.
Marty and Steve don't look at any situation as routine, and as partners, each would pay the ultimate price to protect and serve.
And I have all the faith in the world in Marty that he'd take a bullet for me and I'd do the same for him.
Cynthia Tinsley, the 10 o'clock news.
Okay, all right.
Step this way.
The man who thousands of budding stars have to thank for making it to the big time has the memorabilia to prove that he is the eternal teenager.
What'd you say? You thought that was Prince?
It looks like something Prince would wear, yeah.
This was my outfit from the Mardi Gras last year. I was the king of Mardi Gras last year. Let me show you something more significant.
Okay.
Dick Clark says he saved every memento from his decades of hosting American Bandstand, and he wants to share his stuff with everyone. So he opened up a little diner, as he puts it, to showcase decades of his passion for music. But it was Dick Clark, not the hundreds of mementos that was the star attraction at the restaurant's one-year anniversary party.
I watched American Bandstand every single day. I never missed it. And it's amazing just to see him.
But Clark, who signed T-shirts and flashed genuine smiles for his camera-touting fans, doesn't think of himself so much as a celebrity and always turns the spotlight back to the talent that he's helped on their way to stardom.
This is a picture of Toni Braxton, who won the American Music Awards this year in 1997. So this stuff just continues. It moves along. But the most important thing is the food.
Yeah.
I got to get a menu. Let me show you a menu.
Okay.
But we did find one thing he liked to boast about, the menu.
Cincinnati Monster Chops. We've had those on the menu in every city we have, and it's one of the biggest sellers we got. They are huge.
Clark says one of the reasons that he opened up his restaurant in Cincinnati is he has a soft place in his heart for the Queen City, a place that takes him back to the old days of rock and roll.
Years ago, this is where we used to send the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars out from. There's a rock and roll tour, bus tours full of old rock and rollers. And this was the key area. We did it all from here.
He's in a big dark room with lots of computers and gizmos and gadgets, and they monitor all of this. They help the carrier and assist the carrier in their launchings.
Mary Molnar's son Matthew isn't allowed to tell his mom too much about what he's doing in the Gulf, but she knows he's on the USS Gettysburg, a ship sending rockets into Iraq.
I think it's something that had to be. I just hope that they find a way to resolve it so that, you know, in another year or so, somebody else's son isn't out there.
Molnar keeps in close touch with Matthew through the internet. On Sunday, he became a lieutenant. These pictures arrived in her laptop Monday.
It's like Christmas, you know, it's like, you know, you're pushing the little buttons and you've got mail and there's from Matthew, and it's just like Christmas. It's like being a little kid again.
It was the night before Christmas. The ship was out steaming. Sailors stood watch while others were dreaming.
Matthew also emailed a poem about Santa on Christmas Eve in the Navy.
I couldn't help wonder how many lay alone on a cold Christmas Eve on a sea far from home.
Molnar says it hurts having Matthew away, but she supports this mission. And while he may be at one of the safest military posts there is, she has a mother's concern.
Of course, I'm worried and I'm scared for him. And I'm very proud of him, and I'm proud of what he's doing. And I'm proud of all those guys.
Michael Brudell, the 10 o'clock news.